Hare Krishna. So sorry for the delays. So today we'll be discussing the 10th chapter of the third canto Srimad Bhagavatam, which is entitled The Divisions of Creation. So last time we discussed the various prayers of Brahmaji. After Brahmaji had darshan of the Lord, Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he offered beautiful prayers, and at the end of those prayers, he made 4 requests. What are the 4 requests? Please empower me. Please protect me from false ego, because service means lots of rajogun, passion. So he prayed to the Lord, may I not become affected by the rajogun, and please protect me so that I may not get deviated from the scriptures. All the teachings may always remain fresh in my heart. And then he offered his prayers to the Lord Garbhodakshay Vishnu, saying that please wake up. Sosa vadabra bhagavan karuno vivriddha. That's the prayer which we recite when we have to wake up the Lord. So now in this 10th chapter, the secondary creation by Brahmaji is described. So primary creation is done by Lord Vishnu, and the secondary creation is done by Lord Brahma. So in this chapter, the secondary creation is described. 10 types of basically creations. Out of that, 6 are primary and 4 are secondary. So all that will be described again in this chapter. So again and again this creation is described here, and one may be thinking, "Arey, itna complex hota ja raha hai, Bhagavatam. I came to hear Bhagavatam so that I can sit and relax and relish Bhagavatam. यहाँ पे तो all technical things are getting discussed. Nothing is going in the mind, head. सब ऊपर से ही जा रहा है, But Shukdev Goswami says, if we try to understand these, creation pastimes of the Lord, then we will not be bewildered by the material energy of the Lord. Mayam varnayato mushya ishwarasya anumodita shrunvata shraddhaya nityam mayayatmanam hyati. Mayam varnayato. If we hear the maya of the Lord, then what will happen? Shrunvata shraddhaya. We should hear with faith. We should have that faith that by hearing these pastimes, I will develop close connection with the Lord. Maya Atma na muhyati. We will not be bewildered by the material energy of the Lord. So actually, every verse of Bhagavatam speaks about devotional service. So it is not that some verses they describe devotional service, other verses they are describing some technical things, cosmology. No. Everything describes bhakti. So Brahmaji basically is dependent on Krishna's mercy so that he can do his service. So Vidura, so this is a discussion going on between whom? Vidura and Maitreya. Thank you, bro. Yeah. So this is a discussion going on between Vidura and Maitreya. So after hearing that Supreme Lord Garbhodakshay Vishnu, he disappeared, then Vidura is asking, what did Brahmaji do after this? Vidura uvacha. Oh, sorry. Prabhu, where is the remote? Yes. Vidura uvacha antarhite bhagavati brahma lok pitamaha prajasasarja katitha daihiki manasir vibhu. So antarhite bhagavati, after the disappearance of Supreme Lord, Brahma, the lok pitamaha, the grandfather of the entire universe, all the planets, lok pitamaha, prajasasarja katitha, please let me know how he created the living entities. Daihiki manasi vibhu. He created various living entities from his mind and from his body. So when we are hearing all these discussions, we have to understand the mood of the characters of the Bhagavatam. So Vidura, although he had a very sour experience in the palace, he was insulted by Duryodhan, he was thrown out of the palace, and only reward for his lifetime of service was He was left with his breath. That was the retirement benefit he got. Only breath. Zinda chhod rahe hain aapko. But Vidura, when he approached Maitreya, he is not, asking why this is happening to me. He's asking about all the difficult topics of creation because he wanted to know how Lord is so very great. So therefore he's asking, please tell me how Brahmaji created all the living entities. Yachame Bhagavan Prishtas Tvayartha Bahuvittama Tan Vadasvanurupye Purvena Chindina Sarva Sanshayan. O powerful one, O Bhagavan. So Vidura is addressing Maitreya as Bhagavan. So Bhagavan means Supreme Lord, right? But how Vidura is addressing Maitreya as Bhagavan? Any powerful personality who knows the principles of self-realization, who is practicing himself, he is also called as Bhagavan many times. Vyasdev is also called as Bhagavan, Bhagavan Badarayana. So here Maitreya is addressed as Bhagavan. O powerful one, please tell me whatever I have inquired from you, because you are Bahuvittama, you are a very learned one. Tan vadasva anupurvena, please tell me everything. Chindina sarva sanshayam, please destroy all my doubts. So Prabhupada writes, one must be confident about the qualifications of his teacher. If somebody is approaching the teacher, first of all, he should have that confidence that he will answer my questions. If somebody is approaching the teacher and pata nahi isko aata hai ki nahi. So then that is not the right attitude and mood of approaching the teacher. The same thing happened with Arjuna. Arjuna, when he is approaching Krishna, he says, only you can dispel my doubts. Nahi prapashyami mama panudya yashokamocho shanamindriyanam avapya bhuma osapatnam riddhyam rajyam suranam apichadipatyam nahi prapashyami. Oh Krishna, I do not see anyone else. Because Krishna may say, oh, why are you approaching me? You are surrendering to me. 7th verse says, Shishyasteham. So Krishna says, I am your friend. Friends ke beech mein aisa formal nahi hota hai kuch. He says, no. You can dispel my doubt. Vyasdev says, Krishna says, oh, go to Vyasdev. He is a learned sage. No, only you can dispel my doubt. He had that faith. So Vidurji, he wants to know 3 things. Exhaustively, he wanted to know about Krishna. He is asking, let me know everything. And he had confidence and he was submissive. So just see, Vidura, he had a personal relationship with Krishna. But still he is asking Maitreya so humbly. So that is the mood of a student of a Bhagavatam. Whoever he may be, he doesn't think I am so great, but this personality can give me Krishna's mercy. This personality can teach me about Krishna. So we may have some sentiments for Krishna, but to solidify our sentiments, we have to hear the philosophy of Bhagavatam. Sentimental devotional service doesn't last. मंदिर क्यों जाते हैं? अच्छा लगता है. जिस दिन मूवी में अच्छा लगेगा उस दिन मूवी जाएंगे. So ये अच्छा लगता है, it is okay, but this should not be just the motivation. अच्छा लगता है इसलिए, अच्छा नहीं लगेगा तो मेरे जीवन में सब अच्छा होता है इसलिए मैं मंदिर जाता हूँ. अच्छा नहीं हुआ तो मंदिर जाना छोड़ देंगे. So that's how different people have different motivations. Just like small child, when the child is small, why does the child study? नहीं पढ़ेंगे तो पापा मारेंगे, मम्मी डांटेंगी. Then he grows up, then बेटा फर्स्ट आएगा ना तो तेरे को मैं एक आईफोन ला के दूंगा. Temptation, reward. Then he grows up, then he develops the feelings of duty. Oh, my parents are doing so much for me. So that's how we have to grow in our connection with Krishna, understanding, okay, why I am serving Krishna. Not because I will get something from him, not because I feel good, but because I want to love him. That's why we have to approach spiritual master. Tasmad gurum prapadyeta. We have to surrender to the spiritual master. That's why Guru, just like Vidura is telling Maitreya, you are Bhagwan, most all powerful one. So Guru means very heavy. That is the literal meaning of word Guru, heavy. He cuts off all the attachments. That is the job of a Guru. We should not expect when you go to a saintly person or spiritual master that he will pamper our false ego. He'll give अच्छा चल रहा है आपका जीवन में. Continue like this. No, he will just cut off all the attachments. So that's how Maitreya, Vidura, he wants to hear everything about the Lord. So then Sudha Goswami continues that in this way, Maitreya Muni, when he heard such questions, he was very happy. So this comes again and again. Whenever audience asks question, the speaker is enlivened. Why? Because it gives a chance to speak about Krishna. Samyak karunikasyetam vatsate vichikitsitam yadaham chodita saumya bhagavad virya darshane. Even Narad Muni, when he asked Brahmaji, I think you are the creator, you are the supreme, everything is coming from you, you are omnipotent, you are like spider. Spider, you know what is the quality of spider? Spider is a omnipotent, entity, creates the web with his own substance, saliva, maintains the web and winds up the web also. So he says, you are like a spider. Urnanabhi vaklana. So Brahmaji says, then Narad Muni asks Brahmaji, but there is one doubt. Why are you doing this meditation? Tapasya kyun kar rahe ho? You are all powerful. Why do you need to do tapasya? Brahmaji then thanks Narad Muni. Thank you for asking this question. You have given me a chance to speak about Krishna. So when somebody is speaking about Krishna or speaking Bhagavatam, he should not speak in the mood of chalo bhai sabka uddhar karke. No, it is for our own purification. And all these great devotees, they are giving me chance to speak about Krishna. So therefore, Maitreya Muni, he was very enlivened. And therefore, he began to reply. So Prabhupada writes in the purport that addressing Shaunaka. So now Sudha Goswami is addressing Shaunak Rishi. That is a conversation going on. 3 conversations are going on in Bhagavatam. Sudha Goswami, Shaunak Rishi, then Parikshit Maharaj, Shukadeva Goswami, then Maitreya Muni and Vidura. So now Sudha Goswami is addressing Shaunak Rishi. That Maitreya Muni, he kept everything in his heart. That means he did not forget the questions. It happens, when somebody asks the questions and in flow of giving answer, thode der answer dene ka question kya tha? So Maitreya remembers all the questions which Vidura had asked in the previous chapters. So that's how Maitreya became very happy, and he started giving reply. So this mode of becoming happy on questions, it is consistent in Bhagavatam. Munaya sadhu prishtoham bhavadbhir lokamangalam yatkritah krishna samprashno yenatma suprasidati. So Shaunakadi Rishis, when they ask questions, Sudha Goswami he's telling them, oh, what wonderful questions you have asked. Sadhu prishtoham, bahut sundar prashna kiya. Bhavadbhir loka mangalam, it is for the welfare of people in general. So Vidura, he became very happy, and then Maitreya, he became very happy, and then he started replying. So now, before getting darshan of the Lord, Brahmaji meditated. After getting darshan of the Lord, again he was doing meditation for 100 celestial years. So why he is doing such tapasya? Because he wants to first purify himself. Before doing service, we have to purify ourselves, purify our mind. And that's why we begin our day with chanting. Chanting is purifying our mind so that we can do our services in right consciousness. So Brahmaji is doing his tapasya to purify his mind, purify his consciousness, purify his body. Purification is very, very important before performing any service. Because if the mind is purified, if the body is purified, then we can serve properly. That's why Bhagavad Gita also, Krishna is telling to Arjuna that if you want to practice devotional service with determination, then you should live a sinless life. That is very, very important. If you are living a sinful life, then it is very difficult to practice bhakti with determination. So Prabhupada writes a very interesting line there. Prabhupada writes, Brahma engaged himself in the service of the Lord, and this service is the highest tapasya one can do, and there is no retirement from such service. In the outside world, when you serve somebody in some company, after some years, you'll get retirement. But in Krishna consciousness, there is no retirement. In fact, the more you grow old, the more you get responsibilities. One time when Gaur was telling that in ISKCON, Jawan sota hai, Buddha nachta hai. So that is what happens. Service increases with time because you have now realizations. Now you understand the tattva of Bhagavatam very nicely. Therefore, you can handle. And that was the mood of Prabhupada. He is doing service. He is doing so many services. Give him more service. Why? Itna sab kar raha hai, to ye ek aur bhi kar le. So reward of service is more service. So that is how Prabhupada has made ISKCON. So Prabhupada writes, there is no retirement from such service. We have heard in the second chapter of this third canto, when Vidurji he met Uddhava, it is described that Uddhava, although he had become old, but still his desire to serve Krishna was ever fresh, ever youthful. So that is how we should be. And although he had served Krishna from birth, he was not saying, "Arey bahut seva ho gaya, abhi thoda aaram karte hain." No, there is no aaram in Krishna consciousness. If you want aaram, then Krishna is very far. There is no retirement in Krishna's service. Just imagine if you are told in the same body, in this consciousness, you will be promoted to Golok. Kitne log ready hai jaane ke liye? In this consciousness, it is a very scary thing. Because in Goloka, there is no retirement from service. When Krishna blows his flute in the middle of the night, gopis, they don't complain, "Arey raat ko hi bajana tha. Subah baja lete." And it is not that when Nauka Vihar is going on, there is somewhere in the back of the boat, some snoring sound is coming. Koi gopiyan piche bole, aap karo apna leela, hum sote hain." There is no sleep, there is no rest. So that is Goloka. That's what we have to prepare. In our current body, we have to prepare so that whenever service comes, we say yes. So Prabhupada writes in that purport, mundane service means satiation. But in transcendental service, there is no satiation. There is always increase in enthusiasm. So that is the mood of a devotee. Just see the life of Prabhupada at the age of 70, when people retire. That time he started on a worldwide mission. Who is starting worldwide mission at the age of 70? And he is actually one of the persons who became successful at a very ripe age. So in the modern terms, he became successful person who created worldwide organization. Even Kaviraj Goswami, at what age he is writing Chaitanya Charitamrita? At the age of 94. Ami viruddha jaratur likhite ka paikar mane kichu smarane na hoye. Na dekhiye nayane na shuniye shravane tabu likhiye bada vismay. So Kaviraj Goswami is describing in Chaitanya Charitamrita, I am old. Ami vriddha likhite ka paikar, hands are trembling. Any of you have seen the writings of Kaviraj Goswami? Original writing. Very beautiful. I just went to Jagannath Puri, and there in Sarvam Bhattacharya's place, that their pujari was showing the writings of Chaitanya Charitamrita, original, very intricate, very fine, beautiful writings. So his hands are trembling, still he is writing such beautiful Chaitanya Charitamrita. लिखित एका पय कर मने किच्छु स्मरण न होए, कुछ याद नहीं है तो इतना लिखा है. मने किच्छु स्मरण न होए, कुछ भी स्मरण नहीं हो रहा है, ना देखिए न यानी दिखना है, कुछ दिख नहीं रहा है, ना सुनिए श्रवणे, can't hear anything, तबु लिखी, still I am writing. So therefore, there is no cessation in Krishna consciousness. So Prabhupada writes, Vidura was not thinking, bahut sun liya hai Krishna katha. No, he is more and more eager. And that's how he is so very enthusiastically asking. And Brahmaji, he is doing intense tapasya because he wants to do this service. So after this, what happens? After 100 years of tapasya, he notices that the lotus on which he was sitting, it is trembling because of the winds of devastation. The water is moving, the water of the Garbhodak ocean, and the lotus is also shaking because of the winds. So just see, now Brahmaji has started his service and he's seeing so many obstacles. So obstacles are, always there in any service. It is there since the beginning of creation. Brahmaji also has to see so many obstacles. So there is no wonder if somebody says, "Itna problem aa raha hai seva karne." Our Sampradaya Acharya has this, background. His service began with obstacle. सबसे पहले तो दिख ही नहीं रहा है, क्या करना है, who am I, what I am supposed to do. So Prabhupada writes, material world is a place of forgetfulness. And one who is engaged in devotional service, he can come out of this forgetfulness and he can engage in devotional service. So Brahmaji, because he was very, very strong in his practice of bhakti, therefore he could survive. He could go through all these obstacles and still do his service very nicely. That is what we have to see from Brahma's life. And he himself tells in the second canto, beautiful verse, he says, "O Narad Muni, my words never prove wrong. Whatever I say come true. My mind never goes towards wrong things. My senses never go towards sense gratification." Why? Because I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord with great zeal. न भारती में अंग मृषोपलक्ष्यते न वै क्वचिन् मे मनसो मृषागति न मे ऋषिकाणि पतन्त्य सत्पथे यन्मयि हृदौत्कण्ठ्यवता धृतो हरि. Bharati में अंग, O Anga, O Narad Muni, my words never prove wrong. न वै क्वचिन् मे मनसो मृषागति, my mind never goes towards wrong things. My senses never goes towards sense gratification. Why? Yanmai hridaya utkantha avata dhrito hari. I have caught hold of the lotus feet of the Lord with great zeal. So in our process of Krishna consciousness, we may lose some battles. Every day our mind, we have to fight so many battles, and everybody has to fight battles with the mind. We may win some battles, we may lose some battles. But for sure, we will win the war. In the ultimate end, the victory will be ours only. That's what Krishna assures Uddhavji. Although my devotee, he is troubled by his conditionings, he may lose some battles, but he will win the war for sure. Padyamanopi mad bhakto vishayair ajitendriya prayah pragalbhaya bhaktya vishayair na vibhuyate. He will not be defeated in the ultimate end. So Brahmaji is seeing so many obstacles. Lotus is shaking, waters of devastation are, creating so much of havoc. But because he is so very strong, therefore he didn't become disturbed. Coming to Krishna consciousness doesn't mean no anxieties. मैं तो भी भक्ति कर रहा हूँ, कुछ प्रॉब्लम नहीं आना चाहिए जीवन में, लेकिन जब से भक्ति कर रहा हूँ ज्यादा प्रॉब्लम आ रही है. Any of you have experienced this? Yes, पूछने के पहले ही बता रहे हैं. Yes. So that's how Krishna puts the devotees in situations where they are helpless. बोले, अभी और कुछ नहीं है भगवान, you are the only one who can save me. That's why Krishna puts the devotees in such situations. But Lord assures that, okay, I'll protect your consciousness for sure. So then Brahmaji, because he did long penance and he had that knowledge, that's why he could understand, he got that power. So tapasya and sadhana both are important. Our practice, our chanting, our hearings, and our tapasya. What is our tapasya? This is the only tapasya we have. Attentive chanting and attentive dealings. That is the biggest tapasya. But a bigger tapasya is to keep the mouth shut. I was just reading one statement of Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. I don't remember the exact, but he said that to know well when to speak, you should know well when not to speak. So कब नहीं बोलना है वो पता होना चाहिए. That's how you learn the art of speaking properly. So Brahmaji, he was very strong in his devotional service. So therefore, with his power, he drank the water of devastation and he drank the wind also. And therefore, he saw after that, he saw that this lotus was the only thing which was existing in this creation. He had to now make this creation, right? So abhi ingredients kahan se hai? Raw material chahiye na building banane ke liye. He had to make 14 planetary systems. So he saw that this lotus was spreading throughout the universe. So he thought, okay, I'll use this lotus to make the creation. And that's how he started making this 14 planetary system. So first he made it into 3, and then he thought that 3 is not sufficient because there are so many different varieties of human beings, not human beings, varieties of living entities. Everybody has different desire. So not everyone can be put into 3 types. So then he made 14 planetary systems. Such wonderful organization he is doing. And then Suta Goswami, he continues. So we'll recite this verse. After creating 14 divisions, what happened? Etavan jiva lokasya samstha bheda samaritah dharmasya hi animittasya vipaka parameshchasau. So therefore, after creating these 14 planetary systems, suitable for inhabitation of different types of living entities, Brahmaji, he was very satisfied. How he could do it? So 2 qualities of Brahmaji are mentioned in this verse. First is dharmasya vipakaha. He was very, very mature in the practice of devotional service. And second, animittasya. He had no material desires. Why I am going to Krishna? That is a question we have to ask. What do I want in return? Sukha sampati karayame kashtamite. Wo chahiye kya? What do we want in return of our devotional service? So one time one person asked Prabhupada, Swamiji, what will you get by chanting Hare Krishna? What did Prabhupada reply? More chanting. So that is the only reward we are getting. More chanting. We are doing all these principles of devotional service. We are practicing to please Krishna. That's all. No material desires. Anya abhilashita shunyam. That is of course a very high stage, but at least we have to aspire for it. At least we should know this is the ideal we have to reach. One time Rajbihari Prabhu was telling that when we hear such wonderful ideals of Krishna consciousness, we may think that Are kidhar ye to bahut high hai. I still have so many desires. So what should we pray to the Lord? Should we ask whatever desires, material desires we have? So Prabhuji was saying that we should ask whatever desires we have, because we cannot artificially, practice devotional service at a pure devotional level. Artificially nahi hoga kuch. But at the end of the prayer, we should also tell that, oh my Lord, I don't know what to ask. That's why I'm asking all these things. Please give me intelligence so that one day I can ask what I am supposed to ask. One day I should realize that whatever I am asking is broken pieces of glass. The more I'll catch hold of broken pieces of glass, more I'll suffer. Swamin kritarthosmi varam na yache. That is the conclusion we should come to. Kuch ichha nahi. I only want to serve you. So therefore, Brahmaji had these two qualities. Dharmasya vipakaha, mature in devotional service, and animittasya. And because of this, nothing was impossible for Brahmaji. Actually, for a devotee, it is nothing which is impossible. Devotees are very, very powerful because they have Krishna with them. Even Durvasa Muni, when he went to Vaikuntha because he was being chased by Sudarshan. And then ultimately Lord Vishnu said, I can't do anything. Mere haath mein nahi hai case. You go to my devotee only. Then he comes back. And then he finds that Ambarish Maharaj is waiting for 1 year without eating anything. And when Durvasa, he falls at the lotus feet of Ambarish Maharaj, he prays to Sudarshan, please forgive him. Then Durvasa Muni realizes, Bapre, kaun hai, bada personality. I troubled him so much, I wanted to kill him, but still he is thinking of my welfare. Aho ananta dasanam mahattam drishtamadhyame kritagasopi yadrajan mangalani samihase. Aho Ananta Dasanam. Today we have seen the glories of devotees of Ananta. Ananta Das के महत्व को देखा है हमने. Kritagasopi Yadarajan. I wanted to do wrong to him. I wanted to kill him. Mangalani Samihase. And he is thinking about my welfare. Not possible in this world. What to speak of killing? Even if somebody says anything wrong, can we think good about that person? No, very difficult. So that's the standards we have in front of us. So because devotees are so surrendered, they become very powerful. So Brahmaji, because he was very surrendered, so he became very, very powerful. And with that, he could create this cosmic creation. Now, after hearing all this, Vidura, he asks another question. He says, oh Maitreya Muni, please tell me about time. What is this time factor? Kal, what is this Kala? I have heard that this Kala is a form of Supreme Lord himself. I want to know about this Kala all the more. What are the symptoms of this time factor, characteristics of time? This Kala, time factor, is a very, very wonderful thing. It is actually Krishna himself. In the first canto, Bhishma, when he is telling all the Pandavas, how come you are great devotee of Lord? You are Dharma personified. You have Arjuna, you have Bhima, you have Krishna himself. Still you all are suffering. Yatra Dharma Suto Raja, Gadapani Vrikodara, Krishna Stri Gandivam Chapam, Suhrit Krishna, deadly combination. Best of everything. Best of morality, best of skills, best of power, and best friend, Krishna. Tato vipat. Still problems are coming. So can any of us think problem nahi aayega? We don't have any of these. But still, they had to suffer so much. Why? So Bhishma says, you know why? Because Krishna personally orchestrated this in your life. And they never complained, बोले कितना सेवा किया आपका, यही अच्छा सिला दिया, कभी गाया नहीं उन्होंने, they were always grateful. They never ever complained to Krishna, why you are putting us in all these difficulties. On the contrary, what Kunti Maharani is telling, और दो, विपदा संतुता सृष्टि इतना sufficient नहीं है, और चाहिए. Sarvam kala kritam manye. So Bhishma is telling it is all time factor. And who is this time factor? Bhishma says, you know, this personality who's standing in front of you, don't think he's your cousin. Yanmanyase matuleyam surin mitram. He is not your Suret. He is not your Dut. He is the same Supreme Lord who has orchestrated all this. Yesha vai Bhagavan Sakshat. He is Bhagavan who has done all this in your life. It was the will of the Lord. So time factor is very, very wonderful thing. So Vidura, he has seen all this. So he wanted to know about this time. So Maitreya, he starts replying. Then he describes 7 characteristics of time. So actually what Maitreya is doing, he is not describing time factor per se. He is describing the various qualities of time factor, various functions of time factor, what all things happen under the influence of time factor. So first is, under the influence of the time, the modes, they get agitated, and that is the beginning of the creation. We have heard this many times, how Mahavishnu, from his bodily pores, what comes out? Anybody still remembers? Well, question mat pucho, aap bolte raho. Somebody was saying, Prabhuji, question पूछते हैं tension आया. आप हम आराम से सुनेंगे, you know. So dravya, dravya comes out. Universe is in a symbolic form, dravya, and that is called as pradhan. Okay. Another name of dravya is pradhan. Dravya means liquid, right? Hindi mein liquid dravya hota hai. Dravya means liquid, means sweat. So what comes out from the body of Mahavishnu is also dravya, but that is the aggregate of everything. Then Lord glances on that dravya, on that pradhan, and impregnates it with time factor and the modes. So these time factors, they agitate the modes, and based on that agitation, the pradhan becomes mahat tattva. ऊपर से चला गया. Vishnu glances on that. Like yeah. Yes. From the pores of Karanodakshay Vishnu, dravya comes out. Then Mahavishnu again glances on that dravya or material. Mahavishnu is only one. Okay, that Karanodakshay Vishnu is called as Mahavishnu. Garbhodakshay Vishnu is not called as Mahavishnu. Mahavishnu is another name of Karanodakshay Vishnu. So Karanodakshay Vishnu glances on this pradhan or dravya or prakriti, same 3 words for the same thing. Then it becomes mahat tattva because it is agitated with the time factor. So time factor agitates the modes, and that is the beginning of creation. And then he says time factor per se, it has no beginning, no end. So that's why it is very difficult to understand what is this time factor, what is this spiritual world, because in spiritual world there is no time. Time is conspicuous by its absence. Another statement which we never understood and we will never understand because it is another dimension altogether. Just like ant, moving on our body with so many hairs, ant can never perceive that this is a human being. Ant thinks ये कोई तो forest है, बड़े-बड़े पेड़ है. So the ant will never understand because it is another dimension altogether. That's how we will never understand what is this absence of time factor. Prabhupada gives a story example of frog in the well. We are all that frog in the well. Yes.
I'm sorry, I'm just going back because I'm just trying to recollect. I'm just trying to. Mahavishnu glances on Pradhan, and with the glances, Pradhan gets agitated. So this
modes of nature, they start working.
They start working.
See, when the Lord glances, he impregnates that dravya with kala, karma, swabhav, and jiva. Okay. And the modes of nature which are there in the pradhan, they are already there. They start working. So under the influence, so it acts as a catalyst. So time factor is a catalyst which makes this reaction work. So and then the reaction starts and then further things happen. Okay, so Prabhupada writes in the purport that Chanakya Pandit has said, even if a second is wasted, it cannot be purchased with millions of dollars and all that, Prabhupada writes. So Prabhupada writes that this time is not subject to any form of psychology or any subjective reality. You know, कुछ लोग बोलते हैं मेरा बुरा समय चल रहा है, मेरा अच्छा समय चल रहा है. समय is not अच्छा और बुरा. समय is the same. It is our perception of the time based on our karmic reactions. That's why we say मेरा अच्छा समय चल रहा है, मेरा बुरा चल रहा है. Time is same for Brahmaji and us, but we perceive it in a different way. So then he describes that time is an efficient cause of the creation because of time factor, everything is moving, right? Mahatattva becomes, Pradhan becomes Mahatattva, then Mahatattva becomes Ahankar and all that we have discussed many times. And ultimately, time is the representative of Lord's power, and based on that time factor, the universe is divided into 14 planets and it is cyclical. So this time, it was there in the past, it is working now, it will be there in the future also. So this is the cyclic time factor. So after describing this time, Maitreya, he continues the various types of creation. He will describe about this time factor in detail. Next chapter is only about time, to make it more, complicated. इतना ही नहीं समझ रहा है अभी पूरा चैप्टर टाइम पे है, So
I'm just going back again and again.
कोई बात नहीं, just आगे सुनिए, आगे अच्छा है. So don't go into all the complicated things. So then he describes there are 3 types of destruction. So now the 10 types of 10 types of creation are being described. Out of these, there are 2 types of creation: primary creation and secondary creation. So what is primary creation? Anybody remembers? Primary creation means creation which is done by the Lord. महाविष्णु जो प्रकृति की सृष्टि करते हैं, that is called as primary creation. From Pradhan up to all the material elements. And after that, whatever Brahmaji creates, that is secondary creation. Okay. So Brahmaji takes birth from the navel of Garbhodaksha Vishnu, right? Before that, kuch to bana hai. That everything is primary creation. So Suda Goswami continues that there are three types of destruction. So one destruction happens at the end of Brahmaji's life. What happens then? Entire universe gets destroyed. One destruction happens at the end of Brahma's day. उस समय क्या होता है? Partial dissolution. So all the planetary systems up to Swarga Loka, they get submerged in waters of Garbhodak ocean. That is happening at the end of every day. Can you imagine the frustration of Brahmaji? सोए और नीचे वाला सब नष्ट हो गया. If a businessman had to go through all this every day, he goes home and next day morning, अरे पूरा नीचे का 4 building नष्ट हो गया, submerged in water. But Brahmaji had to see all this every day. So that is another type of destruction.
It happens at every Sandhya also.
Sometimes it happens. Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur says it happens at every Sandhya. Some acharyas, they say no, only at the end of the day of Brahma it happens. So different acharyas, they have different views about it. So in the 11th canto, there are 4 types of pralaya described. Nitya pralaya. Nitya means something is getting destroyed every moment. In our body, few cells are getting destroyed, some few cells are getting generated. Nitya pralaya. Then there is Naimittika pralaya, which happens at the end of Brahma's day. There is Prakritik pralaya, which happens at the end of Brahma's life. Alag-alag naam hai. And Atyantik pralaya means when our false ego gets destroyed and we get liberated. That is called as Atyantik pralaya. So these are the various kinds of destruction he describes. And then after this chart we have seen, in a different form various times, how from Mahatattva Ahankar is formed. Then from Ahankar, first in the mode of goodness, then passion and ignorance. Then Ahankar in the mode of goodness creates something, passion creates something, ignorance creates something. So this is all put together in one chart. So these are the 6 types of primary creation. We are not going into the detail of all this. And then one very important concept is described by Sutta Goswami. He says that, in all these creations, the external energy of the Lord is working. Who is the external energy? Maya Devi. So generally, what we think Maya means always doing wrong things for us. But no, Maya Devi has 3 actions. Maya Devi has 3 parts, as you can see in this slide. Pradhan, Avidya, and Vidya. So Pradhan means, we know Pradhan, we have heard Pradhan. So Pradhan is the role, the jurisdiction of Maya Devi. Avidya, ignorance, also is the role of Maya Devi. When somebody doesn't want to serve Krishna, he is put under this Avidya. And Avidya has 2 roles, Avaranatmika and Prakshepatmika. So when, if somebody has gone to movie theater, गए होंगे ना पहले, अभी नहीं, पहले गए होंगे. So what happens? The first thing when we go to a movie theater, the first thing which happens, all the lights are switched off. So the same thing happens when we enter in this material creation. Avaran, the layer of ignorance, layer of darkness, covers our knowledge that I am servant of Krishna. Then what happens? After the light goes off, then another light goes on. That is called Prakshepa Atmika or Vikshepa. Another light is projected. पहले के theaters में होता था ना, a light was projected. So that is how Maya Devi has another role. She starts projecting that you are this body, you are controller, you are enjoyer. So these are the 2 roles of Avidya. But after getting frustrated in enjoying this material world, a living entity starts thinking, नहीं कुछ तो होगा, कुछ तो मजा कहीं तो होगा, जहाँ गम भी ना हो आंसू होगा कहीं तो होगा. Then he starts having this understanding that I am not this body, I am soul. Then he comes under this Vidya potency of Maya Devi. And that Vidya potency destroys the ignorance. And then he comes to the level of Atma Sakshatkar. समझ रहे? थोड़ा. So
this Pradhan actually comes into the primary.
Same, that Pradhan. Yeah.
So then how come that Pradhan comes into Maya Devi's jurisdiction? Because Maya Devi comes after this.
In this material world, whatever ingredients are required, they are Maya Devi's job. Lord has 3 potencies: Sandhini, Samvit, Ladini. So what is the role of Ladini potency? Pleasure giving. Samvit, all knowing. Lord knows himself. And what is the role of Sandhini? Sandhini is the potency which creates and maintains the material world and the spiritual world. Okay. So in the spiritual world, it is Yoga Maya. In the material world, it is Mahamaya. That is Sandhini. So all the ingredients, they are provided by Mahamaya. So that is the job of Sandhini potency in this material world. So Prakriti is basically the jurisdiction of Mahamaya. So whatever ingredients, whatever Prakriti is coming out of the body of the Lord, that is Mahamaya's job, Mahamaya's property. So that is what is happening here. So this is some details which Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur describes. We'll not go into that. And then this is another chart where it is described. So 6 types of primary creation. Bhagwan ne jo banaya, that is primary. Now Brahmaji, he is making creation. Okay. So he has made 4 types of living entities: plants, animals, human beings, and devatas. Okay. So the various characteristics of plants, animals, human beings, and devatas are described here, all put in one chart. Very interestingly, our scriptures, they describe the physiology of the human beings and animals very nicely. So one of the characteristics of animals is horizontal nourishment. You know what is horizontal nourishment? Their mouth and their anus, they are in one line. Horizontal, hai na? And human beings downward, vertical nourishment. So that's how scriptures, they very nicely categorize all these various types of things. 6 types of plants are created: vanaspati, aushadhi, lata, tvaksara, virudha, druma, various types of plants. And then various types of animals and humans. One interesting thing is they are very passionate. Human beings are very passionate. Prabhupada writes, animals, they do procreation only in limited duration of the year, but humans, they are more passionate. That's why they have irregular habits of procreation. They are just attached to their work. Bas kaam karna hai, People say work is worship. Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, if work is worship, then donkey is the biggest worshipper. दिन भर काम करता है, बोलते हैं ना गधे की तरह काम कर रहा है. Biggest worshippers. So they are dedicated to work and they think themselves happy even if they are in distress. कैसे हैं? बहुत बढ़िया है, मजा में, So that is how we have, all humans think that I am happy although everything is going on wrong, but still सब ठीक है. कैसे हैं? सब ठीक है. ऐसा कैसे हो सकता है? भौतिक जगत में सब ठीक है, हो ही नहीं सकता. Not possible. But still people सब ठीक चल रहा है. So that's how it is described. And then he has created devatas. So these devatas, they are little special. There are 2 types of devatas. If you remember, Brahmaji also, Lord also created devatas, the sense devatas. In the beginning of the creation, the Lord also created the devatas. Our eyes, our ears, our nose, tongue, touch, they are all controlled by devatas, and those devatas were created by Lord himself. They were not created by Brahma, because Brahma to baad mein hai na. But then Brahmaji also creates some devatas. So devatas, they come under both the creations. So the primary creation, the term is given as prakrita. I'll just go back to prakrita, the word types of sarga means prakrita, word for primary creation. And the secondary creation is called as vaikrita or visarga. So these devatas, they come under both, because Lord also creates and Brahmaji also creates. Some devatas are created by Brahmaji, some devatas are created by the Lord.
So those demigods, they came before Brahmaji, actually.
Yes, Brahmaji came much later.
So how come Brahmaji was alone, all alone, like when we say that Brahmaji was all alone, like, when
they were not having the gross body like, Brahmaji. They were there, but they are not visible like, they were not having just gross body like Brahmaji. So they were not visible to Brahmaji. Like that. And then it is described that Kumaras, the 4 Kumaras, they are mixed creation. Why they are mixed creation? Because Brahmaji, he created these 4 Kumaras after meditating on the Lord. So because he created 4 Kumaras after meditating on the Lord, that's why they come under mixed creation. So that is another understanding. Just some details. Okay, so we'll end with this last. So yeah, we have discussed all. So demigods, they come under both types of creation, prakrita and vaikrita. And the Kumaras, they are mixed creation. They are created by the Brahmaji after meditating on the Lord. So this is the end of this chapter. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Anybody has any questions? You can please
So in
ask.
what form they were in that case? Those demigods, when they were not visible by the Lord, are the
I'm not sure because I have not read. Maybe I'm not sure which type of bodies they had. But of course, the Brahmaji could not see any of them.
They were the sun god, Agni, Varun,
Yes, they were all created before Brahma.
Kumar,
They were all created before Brahma.
Indra.
Yes. So they are pure devotees of the Lord. They are not. See, in Devatas, in Swarga also, not everybody is a Karma Mishra Bhakta. We should not put all the Devatas into same category. These are all great devotees of the Lord. It is their service to maintain this universe. And after their service is over, at the end of the creation, they'll go back to the spiritual world.
So this 8 demigods, which
10.
are 10 demigods, they are made by God. They remain till the lifetime of Brahma.
Yeah, they remain till lifetime of Brahma.
And rest of them, they get changed at every month.
Yes. All of them, they remain, but their posts are changed. They don't stay as the Devatas. They are still alive.
Yeah. So those tens, they are there, but they are not posts. They are those jivas only. No? That post, those jivas are there in that post, right? Because these are the posts.
Yes, correct.
So those jivas, they are also jiva only.
They are also Jiva.
Yeah. So those jivas are there. Their post is fixed. Like those jivas are in that post for till Brahmaji's life.
Yes, till Brahmaji's life, they are there.
In the same form, like the same jiva, that means.
No, it is also said that the Indra also changes in every Manvantar.
That is why actually I am asking you again and again.
Yes, that is mentioned.
Then
So-
how come that is some other Indra? That 10 demigods.
Yes, so the Indra changes in every Manvantara. Manvantara, Manu Deva, Manu Putra, Sureshwara, Rishayo, Amshavatarascha, Hare Shadvidam Uchyate. In every Manvantara, 6 personalities they change. Manu changes, Manu Putra, they change. The Devatas, the primary Devatas, they also change. The Indra also changes. The Saptarishis, they change. And the Manvantara Avatar,
Achha, primary Devatas also.
they also change. Okay.
Sorry.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, this last picture which is shown on the slide. So here many Brahmas are there. So this picture depicts what, Prabhuji?
This is not exactly for this, pastime, but I have just put because Brahmaji is creating so many different personalities. Devatas are being created. And Brahmaji has only 4 heads in this slide. He doesn't have many heads. All other the Devatas, that which you are seeing. So as you can see, he has created the ignorance also. That's what it is, a darker side, Raga, Abhinivesh. So I just go back in the slide, So as you can see in this slide, Avidya, Asmita, Raga, Dvesha, Abhinivesha, they are all created by, they are all the powers of the Lord. And Brahmaji created first ignorance. So ignorance is the one which was created by Brahmaji. So that is shown in this painting of, this BBT. The hatred, ignorance, envy, all these are shown there. So that's why this slide is put.
Prabhuji, one more thing that the first shloka, Vidura Uvacha, Antarhite Bhagavate Brahma Loke Pitamaha. So here, Antarhite Bhagavate means the Lord, means that, can you please explain the context of first line and the second?
Lord disappeared from the vision of Brahmaji. That means Lord stopped speaking to Brahmaji. And Brahmaji started doing his service of creation. So Lord appeared, basically, see, Garbhodaksha Vishnu was always existing, but Brahmaji could not see because Lord had covered himself. At certain point of time, Brahmaji was, Lord revealed himself to Brahma, and then after he offered his prayers, and again Lord disappeared. So he could not see the Lord again, but he understood that I have to do my service. So therefore it is, described that whenever Devatas, they go to Brahmaji and Brahma goes to Shir Sagar, he offers prayers, he is not able to see the Lord. He just hears the words of the Lord in his heart. Tene Brahma Hridaya Adi Kavaye Muyanti Yat Sure. So it is not easy to see the Lord always. Lord showed himself by his own mercy. Athapi te deva padambuja dvaya prasada leshanu grihita evahi. Only by the mercy of the Lord one can see the Lord. Then Lord disappeared. Okay.
Okay, Prabhu. Thank you.
Hare Krishna.
If primary gods, what you say, if they are also like, they also changes, then their life is not till Brahma's life.
All the Devatas, they live for entire life of Brahma. Just their post changes. So Ambhomanu is still there. Priyavrat is still there. They were there in the first Manvantar, but they are still there. They all live for the entire day of Brahma, not life of Brahma. So some Devatas, they live for life of Brahma also. The Rishis, they live for entire life of Brahma. Those who are staying in Maharaloka, Brahmaloka, they live for entire life of Brahma. Similarly, some Devatas, they live for entire life of Brahma.
So they are created by Karuna, this Sapta Rishis and because Maharloka.
No. Saptarishis are not created by Mahavishnu. Only these primary sense Devatas are created by Mahavishnu. Saptarishis and all the Rishis, they are created by Brahmaji. It will come in the next chapter, next chapter, further, Baki hai. So all the Rishis, Marichi, Kashyapa, Angira, Atri, they are all created by Brahmaji. It will come in 12th chapter.
Why am I getting confused? Because you say primary demigods are created by the Lord by Karuna. And then when Manvantara comes, like when the Manvantara.
I am also not sure, what happens to the primary Devatas. I can just, ask somebody and I'll get back to you.
Sorry, because
when we discuss, then, I also get to know so many things. That's why you should speak. Next time. I don't know everything, but somebody knows something. So I know who knows. So our Pavaneshwar who knows. So he is the PhD in this. So whenever I had any doubt, so I go to him, and there are many devotees, So that is the opulence here.
Yeah, because you said that primary demigods are also. So
Yeah, so the Devatas change for sure every Manvantara.
But these primary demigods
Who are created by Brahmaji, by Lord. I'll check with. But they are always there. They don't die for sure. But what happens to their post, that I'll confirm and let you know next time. Okay. Any other questions? I'll stop here. Okay, thank you very much. Hare Krishna, Shila Prabhupada ki jai, Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.